Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate Stuff, podcast where we dive deep into the world of real estate and fixing and the stuff that makes life interesting. I've got a lot of background noise, so I don't know if you guys can even hear me right now.
Weird.
Okay, I'm joined here by Carlos from Investor Views and Carrot and Brandon from Texas. How are you guys doing today?
Bob P, talk to us. What's going on over there?
Sounds like Papa P's on a freeway. My God, what is that?
Yeah. You want me to shut it off? Gotcha.
Oh, is that a fan blowing in your face?
Yeah. Is that better? Is that better? Is that better?
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, just living life. Um, Not much going on here. Heading out to the park in Georgia. Um,
A new
Tomorrow,
park?
yeah, tomorrow, gotta go out there and collect rent. People are opting to, well, that's usually what they do is I collect rent in person type of thing. Um, so I'm gonna be out there. My son's going with me. He wants to be there. He's gonna hand out their paperwork and notices while I have a talk with them about paying rent on time. Got to stick some decals on for the new year. Got to pay our vehicle taxes and registration. So we got new tags like you put on the back of your car. You know, you get that like registration tag. You got to put them on mobiles as well. And the last owners did not do that. And it's amazing in these small towns in Georgia. It's like, yeah, we know they haven't done it. We've been meaning to get around to it. It's like
They just not want to spend money on it because they've been trying to sell since last
same
year.
thing. Same thing happened with the taxes. Like they weren't
Oh,
paying
really?
their taxes on the properties, and they basically the city like we talked to them because we were going to do like a holdback for the amount of taxes owed, and they were like, no, we can't go retroactive since we have no proof it was on there because we just didn't bother like go enforcing it. So once you buy it though, like now you need to do it, and it's like that's fine, like we'll do it, but it's just funny. It's kind of like, well, don't ask, don't tell, like we didn't know, so whatever. The guy's not been paying taxes on these mobile homes for years.
They're not going to go after him for it, but in
They
the
can't
same thing,
because
you
there's
don't
no,
have to pay it. Okay.
well, the proof. How do you know it was there?
Mm-hmm. My
You know,
God.
like how can you prove that? But and so they basically said it was their fault. I mean, because we thought we were gonna have to pay the arrearages and we were gonna hold it back and like do a credit and all that, figure out how much it was. But we called and so we learned a lot from it. And they're excited about getting everything up in order because we'll do all the work for the city/county and they don't have to do anything because those people are special.
It,
So
it,
that's where we're
is it
at.
in a is it in a big city suburb or is it like real rural?
I mean, I can get you the actual stats, but let's just say it's more rural than real rural. That's a tongue twister. It is something, but it's I see a lot of potential. It's right off 75. It's south of Macon, Warner Robins, only 45 minutes from the next Bucky's.
Okay.
Like you need to hit this road coming out of Florida to get over to Alabama,
Yeah.
and you
Been
know
on
what I
it
mean.
many
So
times.
like so I see it's right above Tifton, in west or east of Albany and south of Macon, Warner Robins. So like it's got a good location. I see a lot of potential for it. But
Do
no, the
you do you have
town's
any RV slips on it, or are you planning to do
no,
RV slips?
no. This one probably just going to keep it all. There's a big need for affordable housing in this area. So we're definitely probably going to keep it all mobile homes. Because when you do that, you gotta, and we would have to rewire, put new boxes in and stuff. Um, but yeah, it's a thought process. That's not a bad idea, but just
You
depends.
just said it was like right off I-75. That's
Yeah, but so there's a different, dude, we could have a whole episode about this, but that's not why we're here today.
it's not why we're here today.
That's cool though. Bringing some muscle with you, your son. That'll be fun.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
should film you all weekend long so you can start that YouTube show.
I thought it was funny. I went with my mom. My mom's building a custom home. She wanted my opinion to go meet the builder. So we go meet the builder's manager, like guy in charge of all of his projects. And we go there and there's like a 19-year-old kid. And he goes, was as we
The
meet,
19-year-old
I'm
kid's the manager.
No, with the guy,
okay.
with the 40-year-old dude or whatever, 50-year-old. Anyway, I step back. It's not my thing. I'm just there to view it. He shakes our hand. He goes, "This is one of our superintendents." And like I whispered to my mom, I'm like, that kid does nothing. There's no way. Like this kid just, if he does anything, he's meeting delivery guys to make sure materials get dropped off. Superintendent, fancy word for him. Anyway, later on, as my mom's like talking to the guy in charge, I'm just sitting back and the kid starts talking to me. He's like, "Hey man, I like your tattoos." And I'm like, "Thanks, bro." I was like, "How long you been doing this, man?" And he goes, "Well, not really. I'm just his son. I'm just here learning the ropes." And I was like,
That's
"Good.
pretty cool, though.
That's how it should be." I was like, "Good,
Yeah.
man. Like, that's how it should be. Like, dude, learn all you can. I'm glad to hear it. You're enjoying it." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, he thinks it's pretty cool. But I just thought it was funny that his dad like lied about it and was like, "This is a superintendent." When I was like, and he's like, "No, it's just that's my dad."
We talked about it before. That's the way it should be. If you're bringing somebody into the company, start with some dumb position.
Yeah.
Don't give them any like advantages.
Mhm.
Don't let other people know that's your son, and treat them like a
I
normal
don't know.
employee and let
I
them
feel
learn.
like he didn't have to lie about it, but like I get it. Like
I
it's I have
He
no
just didn't
person.
tell the whole truth.
Maybe he really is a superintendent, but I don't
This
know.
is our senior structural engineer. He's been with us for about 15 years.
The dude he could barely shave, but yeah, I don't think he could have grown any face like John, just facial hair.
Thank you.
Although
Appreciate
I've
that.
noticed you've been trying
Me
to grow
too.
that beard out. Yeah, Carlos.
I'm just keeping it short. I got some bold patches that I can't seem to fill in, so I just keep it short. All good.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. So what do we got on the agenda for today?
Well, so I've been working on some PPL data this week, and what I have mostly realized this week is that um, I need to do some improvements in how we track data inside of investor views. Not not that part's lacking much, because what I'm trying to do is combine data from like lots of different areas, and I've started to build a system for it. So you know I'm going to show you some things, and then we can kind of see what other questions might need to be answered, and even like what would be some interesting questions to be answered in the future, because I've started building the bare bones of what I would classify as a data warehouse for understanding trends of real estate uh, from investor views. Um, but you're gonna laugh about where I built it, but I built it in somewhere that I'm very comfortable with.
I can take a guess.
So let's take a little look here.
Mm-hmm. Papa P, and the P is not for Podio. I'll tell you that.
So a little podio, and so this is like I started building this stuff in Google spreadsheets, and I was just like, I can't get the insights that I need, because I need to be able to like layer data on multiple standpoints so I can get to some kind of summarized format. So I've gotten there, maybe enough for this discussion, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm happy to hear you guys' live feedback on John. We asked you this question and you can't tell us the answer. Please return back and figure it out. But so this is looking at some combined data of PPL. And so looking at some trends of what's occurring in PPL. And so I've got basically some total opportunity counts into offers, contracts. I don't have closed data because we talked about last week, and Papa P gave me some feedback later in the week of why people don't close transactions in investor views, but I don't have much closed data. And then some time based, but this is like the total opportunities coming in for PPL. And so I thought it was interesting that it ramped up pretty heavily. It appears like some people turned it off in the middle of the year, which is why there's a bunch of data missing. But then they've started again towards the end of the year, but not like I would say not anything overly interesting with that. But what is intriguing to me is the fact that they were seeing a lot higher amount of PPL leads going to offers in the last couple of months in relation to how many opportunities are coming in. So 269, 320 into 72 and 73 offers actually being made. Where back before, where we had similar opportunity counts, we didn't see as many offers. And that also kind of plays into the total contracts as well. So contracts are up a little bit with the opportunity count, but the percentage, the conversion rate from an offer to a signed contract has not increased. So they're sending out more offers for PPL leads, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would tell me that either the lead quality is getting better or the sellers are just getting more interested in selling right now and willing to hear people's offer. But contracts have not really increased, but dead has definitely increased. So this might also tell a story of just the team getting better about asking for refunds when they did before. But they are marking a lot of the leads coming in, over half, I think that's correct, just about, or over half of the leads that come in as dead. And dead for them means that they're going to go and try and seek a refund from PPL. And then average created contract. So I kind of said this story a little bit last week of I was seeing like a pretty outlying stat of last month. The time from the lead being created to the time the lead going under contract was significantly higher last month than any month before. So I will be intriguing to see if that stays true. But I said that was concerning, but you, Brandon, pointed out last call that the intriguing thing about that stat is actually what it could mean is that sellers are coming back, can't find solutions elsewhere, are getting more desperate, and are accepting contracts that maybe they weren't initially accepting to begin with.
Yeah, I mean that's most likely what it means. It probably also means that the company is getting better at their follow-up. So like
Right.
because what I see here is no follow-up. That's not true. Someone's going to lambaste me for that. Obviously, there's follow-up, but not real follow-up, right? Follow-up isn't like 5-6 days from when the lead comes in, because obviously, like, that's hot. You talk one day, the second day, wait a couple days, schedule a meeting, review a contract, wait for it to get signed. 5-6 days. So like when you start seeing stuff underneath a week, 2 weeks. Like, that's not really follow-up. That's just you being a sales guy doing your job, following up, yes, but just you're chasing the hot lead at that point. Follow-up really comes in post 2 weeks, 30 days, 2 months. You're really starting to, drip campaign them. Maybe if you got that set up with Investor Fuse or, one of those types of services, texting, launch control type stuff. Maybe you use them for drip campaign, smartphone. I don't know. So I definitely see that as being a thing, which makes sense, right? People are going back into their leads. Sellers are coming back too. So I could see that.
And you would be correct. I just proved your theory.
Yeah, see that? Just off the cuff. I'm fucking awesome, dude.
This is touches.
I love when shit like that happens, and I had no idea. Yeah, so that's definitely it.
I don't know. March maybe you've had 10,000.
I mean, no, dude. If I would have said that, it was wild.
Wow, look at that.
I want you to know, just so everyone knows, I did not know any of this prior to, so that was real, me matching this up to the stats. But it makes a lot of sense, right? Of those things happening. They're doing more with their leads now too. It's like they almost have to. But I also think people are getting better with their leads, if that makes sense. I know when I started out in 2017, it was like shooting fish in a barrel.
You're talking PPL specifically.
Well, I'm just talking about leads in general, right? Like when you're so abundant with stuff, right? So when you're so abundant, like when I was wholesaling full time, 2017, it was so easy to get a deal. There wasn't everyone doing it. It was just like, and you didn't even like follow anyone following up with their leads was like crushing it compared to anybody just chasing the hot lead, right? And you just forgot about them and you didn't care because you had new leads coming in. They were saying yes. Like that's what your focus was. I'm not saying it was right, and that's kind of like what PPL was. So you look at it from an industry that was happening, but then that happens in each marketing channel too. Every marketing channel runs through its cycle, and in the beginning, it's like shooting fish in a barrel to where you don't really got to do a lot. You're just chasing the hot leads. Now, hopefully, your company has systems and processes to still do it. But I could tell you, the sales agents, they're really focusing on those few new leads a day. You probably want to get your guys, depending on your type of leads, like 6 new leads a day. Just kind of depends. Maybe a little bit more if they're the lower quality they are. And guess what happens? They chase those, and now they're doing their follow up, and they're calling back old people, trying to touch base with them.
So here's something interesting, and I'm making some stats up here on the fly.
I love when John does that.
Winging
see
it.
if I can send this.
Are you doing this just to try to test Papa P's guessing abilities?
No.
Good luck if you are.
I did that one time on the training or whatever for Investor Fuse, where the guy had me value his property, and I like hit it nail on the head
right,
what he offered and what he paid for it. What do we got here?
So this right here is total opportunities. So on the left-hand side, you have PPL, and on the right-hand side, you have every marketing channel. And so you can see the percentage, and this is where like the data model I'm trying to figure out. Podio is not the best opportunity for this. I need to figure out some other thing to use, but I don't even know what data rails is. But I will look at it because this has been an interesting experiment for me. Anyways, so on the right hand side, you can see this is all the opportunities. So it's the intriguing thing here is something seems wrong. September, I must have messed up on. But in general, why is it not showing? There we go. I haven't extended out all the way. So in general, we're seeing less leads coming in 2024, but the share of PPL being those leads has increased. So if we look back here at 2023, the highest we got was 465.
What happened during that time?
During August or last year?
Last year at that time.
I have no idea. I can't even remember what happened during August of last year.
All through 2023 was the fight with SMS. So what you have is you have more leads. So you have an increase in PPL, but you get less PPL leads as a total. So it becomes a higher percentage of your total leads because you're losing because SMS, you're probably getting, like, I'm just making this up, 10 SMS leads to every one PPL leads. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. People needed to move into something else, probably. Like a lot of your users were like, well, outbound's not working anymore. What do I go into? And so you saw an increase in PPL and a larger decrease in the total leads, which would explain that.
That does make sense. And then let me do contracts. That will be really intriguing to see as well. So hang on. Maybe talk amongst yourselves while I do that.
What's the market looking like, Papa P?
Dow's up 80 points. S&P's up a point.
Your boy is big on crypto. I saw
my boys. He made NFTs sexy again.
Oh.
Who is? What are you talking about?
Trump.
Who's your boy?
Trump did a thing at Mar-a-Lago where he was like talking about, crypto. He's big on crypto. His opponents aren't. And he's like, remember, I made NFTs. I think he said cool again, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I made NFTs cool again. But yeah.
Pretty funny.
Because his NFT sold out, bro. Like, I wish I would have gotten his NFT and if anyone wants to send me a fucking Trump NFT, I would be appreciative.
Did he sell that last year or this year?
I think he did it twice. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was that August 2023 range, that same range.
That's why. That's why people
had
to decline. They had to decline their marketing budgets because they had to go buy Trump sneaker and NFT drop.
That's funny.
We're trying to find some correlations in the data here, guys.
I didn't realize my face was so large there. Sorry, world, for seeing that. All right, here we go.
Good.
So on the right, we've got total contracts, and on the left, we've got contracts from PPL. So, not much seemed to change here. I mean, maybe a higher percentage here, but that kind of correlates to the percentage of opportunities. I wouldn't say that we're seeing.
But that also correlates to the fact that although I mean you're comparing the wrong stuff together, but you take a look at like you got your slight increase. Scroll up again. You got your slight increase in contracts and a much larger slight increase there. I was just about to say like it kind of looks like maybe you have a lower contract to opportunity ratio as it
Oh
gets
yeah,
harder,
absolutely. In
harder and
general,
harder to get a deal with PPL. Which is the
Mhm.
argument that everybody's making. There's two arguments that we read on the post. One is the contact or your contract ratio to lead is a lot lower, but also that the cost has gone up, thereby bringing down your ROI to where it makes less and less sense to do PPL. And again, I feel like this data doesn't say that it's dead. I think the data says that it's definitely more people are getting into it, but that the
Yeah.
opportunities obviously are still there. I mean, you're getting a dozen contracts a month from PPL over your span of users that are doing this. And again, like
Mhm.
PPL for these guys or whoever John has, it's like you very well know it's not their only marketing channel.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah,
Very interesting.
what am I
I'm
not
wondering
answering from this? Go
I'm
ahead,
curious
Carlos.
the total amount of people that are doing PPL. Like we almost had a tile of just how many companies have PPL as part of their overall marketing strategy.
Yeah.
A
I
percentage.
wanted to answer that too, and I just did not. I do not have the resources built to answer that question, but I think I can. I'm not going to promise any timelines on when I can answer that question, but I got me curious too, and I was like, I really want to see this on an entire basis. Go ahead.
And then what the consumer wants to know, which I don't know if we're going to do this public, Papa P knows what I'm going to say here, is the statistics for each PPL provider.
I can tell you off the fucking bat. High speed to lead's probably the worst one. I'd love to see that in a factual basis, but that would be a guess.
Well, we have a good one on. We have a good one coming on next week. We should have mentioned in the intro here. Property leads.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Andy is coming on next week. That'll be exciting.
That'll be super exciting. A lot of good feedback from people working with him. Very sharp guy. Very, very sharp guy. They say he's the John Whitfield of the pay per lead industry. Very high praise.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've definitely heard that too.
No, that'll be exciting though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see PPL, Papa P, correct me if you think different, but I don't really see it going away despite folks saying the leads are getting more expensive, the contact lead ratio is increasing. I mean, it's such an easy thing. And what's interesting is I'm talking to more newbies the last couple weeks specifically that are thinking about doing like SEO versus PPC, and they're kind of in this place where they obviously understand the importance of SEO, or maybe they don't. It's like a nice to have thing, and they like the idea of
free
and that quality of marketing. But they're like, we don't want to spend $5-6 grand a month, and maybe do that for 3 months without getting a deal. And I haven't locked up a deal before, or maybe I've only locked up a deal a couple times. So that's where PPL. It's like, man, does this person want to put in the chips, spend $1,000 or $2, and just see what they can make happen? So.
But that's the thing. You're not going to do that. Like I've tried out. I mean, if you listen to our podcast, I've tried out most of the major PPL providers, and although I didn't get deals with every single one of them, I phoned leads with them and spent a lot of money with each of them. And once I got bad vibes from them, essentially, or found that they were reselling leads when they were advertising that they weren't, or like different reasons, it's like, man, it's going to be tough to get a deal. Now, it's when I say that, there's always going to be somebody or something out of the woodwork that says, well, that's not true. Like this happened. And you're right. There will always be somebody there's always that 1% that, you call your first one and it turns into a deal, or you call 3 and you spend $900 and you get a $30K lead, but you can't run a business off of that. You can't expect that. You need to work off of averages, median. You need to work off of what is typical, what other people have encountered. And typically you're going to have to drop some money, man. And if you've never, and listen, if you've never closed a deal in that example, like you're also going to have the yips. Like,
That's my concern. That's my concern. You are spending a lot of money and you don't have the
yeah,
experience to have the right conversation with the
bro,
right people.
that's gonna hurt. And it's like, and then you get desperate, and then you're like, I was
They
listening
can sense
to,
it too. As a sales guy,
oh,
don't you agree with that? Like,
Yeah.
I think
it's like dating.
any type of frequency you're at in any type of regards, I think sales is one of the purest forms. But I think sales, it shows up everywhere in life. People can sense, how desperate you are for a deal, how much specialized knowledge that you have, your genuine confidence level. Dan Martell has a good quote, essentially saying when two people meet in a sales exchange, whoever is the most genuinely confident person comes out on top. So for those people that just want to spend a few $1,000s and hope that they can close a deal with limited experience comping,
I mean,
exit
you
strategies,
might be able to. I mean, let's just say you got $300 leads.
Mhm.
Maybe you pop over to iSpeed to lead and you scoop up their free for all $30 leads, whatever. But you're gonna have a lot more competition, and they're not gonna be fresh, trust me. But I mean, let's say $300, and everyone says it takes 10 to 12 for them to close. Some people better 8. So let's just say it takes like 15 to 20 for you to close because you're going to mess a bunch up. I mean, you're talking anywhere from what, $4,500 to $6,000. And then here's the thing. Here's the thing. You contract that, and then you need to actually go and dispo it, and then you need to sell it, and then it needs to close, and that's another 30 days at the soonest. But the problem is you just ran out of money. So by the time you got this deal, you're flat broke. You have to wait, and now you're not marketing for a month. So now you get that money at the end of the following month and you start marketing again, but now you need that money to pay the debt that you got into from the month that you weren't making money or the month that you didn't have, or maybe you had to get a job. So you see, the problem is people always just assume I have X money to get my deal, but you need to assume I have X money to get my deal and enough money to get me through the cash conversion cycle to get me paid on that deal with enough left over. When I get that check, I could just replenish it, because if you stop, you start from scratch.
Yep.
Your yips come back again because you've been dry for a month and you haven't been really talking to sellers. And listen, you only had 15 leads, so let's not sit here and say you're calling those 15 leads 3 times a day where you're keeping up the practice. That's not happening. Most of those on PPL, they go dead. They don't go to cold status. With PPC and PPL, it's most of the time it's pretty much a yes or no. A small percentage of them go into follow up because it's not like cold calling. Cold calling has a higher going to cold ratio because you're further in front of the sales cycle. You're closer to I'm thinking about it than you are to ready to sell. PPL, PPC, they're ready to sell, so you don't have that time frame of following up with them and calling them once every month or once every 2 weeks. That's not happening. Most of the time they're like, no, I got 6 people showing up today. I'm selling it. I don't like your offer. You're not coming to see my property. Forget you. So, I think people forget about that and underestimate that. That's just my opinion.
Who's pay per lead perfect for? What level of business and what do they have going on?
I think it's perfect for anyone who has some cash reserves, who's done a deal, and wants to get out inbound leads, right, to do their thing. So it's not a newbie, but it can be somebody newer. I think it's great for somebody newer that doesn't have the money for a website, because let's say a website costs $3,000, right? You're going to need a website, or you go get Carrot Site for $1.99 a month. You know what I mean? And then you got to work on that site a little bit. And then, you got to pay for PPC, all that stuff adds up. And maybe you don't have that money. And then worst of all, maybe you don't have the time because you're working a job. PPL is great for people working a job because you could turn the account on and off.
I like it. Yeah, I don't know. I always lean towards real estate investors being sales people and not marketing people, for speaking in generalities. So I don't know. I'm curious to see if we come back in 3 to 6 months. Let's say that tier from the Greg Hellback post. Those are all pretty experienced wholesaling 4 or 5+ years, probably have pretty decent businesses. I'm curious how many of them completely get out of PPL versus how many stay in there, and the ones that maybe it sounds like some of them in the comments that said they were like stopping it. I wonder if they come back in. Like, I'm just curious how that all
Of course
shakes
they
out.
will, because they've done it. I mean, history repeats itself. If we know anything about life, it's that history repeats itself. And that's the thing, is you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, like, oh, direct mail. Oh, that's dead. I'm gonna get out of it. And oh, cold call. Remember when cold calling was dead?
Mm-hmm.
Cold calling was dead when SMS was brand new. Like nobody was cold calling and no one was direct mailing, and then everyone was PPCing, and that it just goes. And now everyone's like, oh, direct mail's back. And a year ago, cold calling, or a little over a year ago, cold calling was back before, they made it harder on us with the TCPA laws and all that. And now that's slowing down again. It's now texting. Dude.
Everything comes back.
It does.
Well,
yeah.
I will keep digging into this. I have some other requests for some PPL data, so versus other marketing methods. So I will keep digging, and if I get into some interesting stats again, I will bring them back onto the show. So stay tuned, audience.
No, I definitely think PPL is going to be a thing, and I think Carlos, you're wrong to a point. You're right. So depending on who's watching, right? Real estate investors are salespeople by their very nature, because obviously we got into this because either we have the ability to deal with people and problems, or we like talking to people, or we like being out on at the property doing work. Like one of those things, like something about it. Very few of us really resonate maybe with the office stuff, but then those people will find a partner. And that's where I was going with it, is like you do have a lot of the people being salespeople, but even those salespeople, Carlos, two things happen. Either you partner with somebody who has that other side, so then the real estate company in general is good at marketing and good at sales, or as you grow, if you can just survive long enough to make money consistently month over month, you hire somebody who is good at marketing. And again, you may be a salesperson, the way Carlos put it, like real estate people are salespeople, but your company can become a sales and marketing company and be good at both. But you need consistent revenue. Like I love when I talk to people, and it's like, and not so much anymore because there's a lot of training and people sharing and charging you to share information. But like when people
you either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain, you're saying.
Yeah. And then they go, I'm hiring like 3 sales guys. And I'm like,
now that's
how many leads do you have?
I'm not going to put up much of an argument there. I'm in agreement there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you. What we got, John?
I'm teeing up some pulse of the week stuff.
I have a pulse of the week. Yeah, I have a pulse of the week if you're teeing some stuff up. One, I'll just give landscape since we're all in Florida. It's in the 90s today. Today and yesterday, I've actually felt hot in the morning. I'm like, ooh, okay. We're about to get, not that it's bad, like I love it versus the cold, but I'm like, all right, so summer is coming. Second thing is we got an amazing Miami HVAC company signed up yesterday.
Yeah.
Going to be an amazing.
Where are they located?
Super pumped.
Miami? They're in Miami.
The office, I'm unsure, but the dude Daniel, he's going to be a good buddy. Hopefully, hanging out with him next week. He's in Coral Gables.
How old?
Probably around our age. I didn't ask. He's 30s.
That fits the avatar.
Yeah, he's 30s, but super dialed in. Already going into a plan of like exiting the company in the future. Big sales, marketing background.
Yeah, there you go.
Super cool.
It's just funny because like I was just on the phone with my AC guy George, and I love him. Phenomenal guy.
Did you get him signed up for a carrot site?
Never met him in person, only his crew. You know what I mean? Like never actually met George in person. We've done business for years over the phone, but there's no way he could ever. I would never see George. He was barely half organized. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could never see this guy this guy, he called me up today. He's like, Brandon, he's like, you told me I had a house you needed me to do, but I done right, forgot it. Can you tell me what it was you wanted me to do again? I swear I know you told me. And I'm like, all right, dude. I'm like, all right, I got you, bro. I told you you need vent smooth. Yeah, I thought it was something like that, but can you describe it to me again so I can get one of my guys over there? I was like,
Oh my
you don't take
God.
notes, bro? Like, you don't take notes? You got a work order? Like,
You
what's
don't,
going on?
you don't have Fathom AI note taker attached to
Yeah,
your
come on, bro.
subscription?
Yeah, like, what's going on?
What would you do if an 80-year-old told him, "Hey, you don't mind if I record this with Fathom AI note taker, do you?" I'd be like, "Oh my
Like,
gosh."
what?
Hilarious.
But yeah, so
That's
it's
the
just
one thing that
tough.
has worried me about the AC audience. But I think what you're finding too, though, Carlos, is that you're finding younger people that are coming into the industry,
Yeah.
like
So,
and could be set up to disrupt it because they
exactly.
could
Well,
be
there's going to be a
way more
market to
techno.
disrupt.
That's what my
Yeah.
dude Daniel. That's what my dude Daniel said. There's a little bit of a sweet spot with the millennials, so like our
Yeah.
three's age. What's
Yeah.
under that? Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever. So
Yeah,
there's a
whatever.
little bit of the younger millennials, the low 30s, that are starting to get into the HVAC business with kind of like a business savvy, like with plans to scale and exit years down the road, is what he's saying. So that's kind of what he's saying.
Well,
So that's he's like blue chip, perfect, like future case study, which is super exciting. But yeah, I need to find like one of him in every market, and we're going to be
it's 5 to 1.
disrupting the entire HVAC industry.
It is 5 to 1. You are correct with that. Where you look at the real estate industry and it's swapped the other direction
I know. So
for
if you
the
think about it, yeah, for people leaving and coming, and it's like I was
yeah.
talking to someone about it, but he's right. Like it's a sweet spot because you're talking 5 to 1, 5 people leaving to only one person coming in. So that means you have an ability as a brand. So you build a brand on
Oh, I
with
said the wrong thing.
online presence, huh?
I was talking about a different thing. Go ahead.
Oh, were you okay? It's 5 to 1. You have 5 trades, and it's not just AC. I believe I may be wrong. It was either 5 or 7, but I'm pretty sure it was 5. For every 5 people leaving the trade, you only have one person coming in. So what's going to happen in the trade industry is my prediction is you're going to have consolidation. So the people that are able to use modern technology, CRMs, PPC, SEO, Facebook, even though Facebook is antiquated, Instagram, Twitter, all those things, and become the local expert or the state expert, whatever, you're going to scoop up a lot of business as these mom and pops go out and they don't sell their HVAC companies. You know what I mean? They just shut down. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, now you're a Google search away from picking up that customer that just they lost because they retired.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
see consolidation because that's 4 people shutting their business down, and those customers have to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, yeah, in Florida, in the world, AC is not going away. It's
trust me,
only
bro. I
increasing
know.
needs.
We're getting an AC next week, so it might be another week of this, and then next week I'll have my AC, or the week
Be
after
a good
once
day
my
for you.
electrician comes.
Did you have
I'm
to
just
insulate
glad.
before?
No and yes, but not really because the unit I'm putting in will be fine for this structure as it is. There's a couple things I have to insulate just to contain the air and create the envelope, but yeah, and then we'll refinish off the whole office and turn it into an actual office, but step by step. I just
Yeah.
miscalculated how hot it got into this office.
Talk about how hot it has been lately. Poor Brendan's out there in the sweat
Bro,
box.
I bake. I'm like
In
a
the
I'm like
sauna,
a turkey on
all day
Thanksgiving. It's
sauna.
like I'm just the juices inside me are just drying up, bro. Like I need basted every day just to stay like I'm gonna. By the time like Brittany comes in here later, I'm like a mummified corpse. Everything is like sweated out of me, and I'm like can't move.
The Mountain Valley water just pours out like steam.
Bro, it's tough. Um, but yeah. So
Well, dude,
AC, I do see
stay
that. That's
hydrated, man.
congratulations, man. That's pretty big. I'm
Thank you,
huge
dude.
on the trades. I can't commit to the trades because like I feel like it's a shiny object syndrome. But like, man, if there is something that like I regret, and I'm not like regret like I'm perfectly happy, but like when I think about industries could have chosen, like really gotten into it, man, like the trades they're it, man. Like
You know what's interesting? HVAC is the most challenging trade business to get licensed in. It's like a multi-year process. I believe it's like a 3-year process. So another thing for acquisitions for getting more HVAC people on there is if we could find people that are like in the process of getting their license, because you can still do business like unlicensed, and that's one of like the positioning things of like being licensed versus unlicensed. They probably are charging like less cost, but like they're not going to have like a 10-year. They may not offer a 10-year warranty because it's like, hey, they might not even be in business that long versus insured companies. But yeah, finding a sweet spot of maybe people that are just getting licensed or people that applied. Like if you could pull up records of people that applied 2-3 years ago, whatever.
You need to go partner with and buy data from. I'm trying to think of the company when I took my contractor's exam. Oh, you already did?
No, John is doing
my,
the thumb emoji.
My stupid
because I was
camera
going to
thing
say
does
like
automatic emoji.
Whoever when I took my contractor exam, they have all these different courses for like getting your license, right? Like when I was going for my GC license, and it's like they have all the data.
Yeah.
They have the data of everybody. I don't know how you obtain that, but that's
yeah. I would
that's
love
the
to get my
thing.
hands on that.
If I was a 20-year-old man right now, honestly, think that would be my route. We're going way off topic, but I watch, I'm on social media all the time, and I'm tracking these plumbing and like roofing and like these different trade companies, and they're guys like that you're looking at, really smart marketing guys scaling a business in one of the trades. And like, so the one I was watching was a plumber, and he's talking about like the systems he has and the payroll, how he pays his guys. The moral of the story, forget all that, $60 an hour. $60 an hour. And I was doing the math, and I'm like these guys are making more money than almost all college graduates. Like unless you're coming out as a doctor,
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. They're making like 120, 130 grand just off the top. And then he also bonuses them. So like the whole thing was, it's kind of like so the whole thing is, I think it's kind of like a Hormozy style fund launch, or gym launch, where he's like, hey, here's how to build a plumbing business. I'll show you how to launch it. And he's like, so here's like the breakdown, here's, and he's like, then we tip them on how many hours they sell. Like if they upsell stuff, like they get bonuses based on how many hours. And I don't understand how that works because I'm not a plumber, but like I kind of gather they're on site and there's something else that needs done. So they're upselling from the usual worker charge. Like I get it. Maybe they get bonused on that somehow. But like when I was just doing the math on what they're paying, I'm like, there you go. Like, dude, we're all sitting here complaining. And, I'm one of them, that America's broke, right? That's the biggest complaint. America's broke. And we look at 5-to-1 people leaving to entering the trades, and we sit here and in the same type of breath we say they're making 120, 130 grand. And maybe not your first year. I don't know how that works. But let's just even say you're 3-4 years in, you're making that. Because I know in any industry, once you're 3 to 5 years in, you're pretty much an expert. And from there, you're specializing and just like stacking specialized experience. So you're 23 years old. I mean, maybe you started at 18. You're 23 years old, making 120 to 150,000 in today's economy. You're in the close to like you're an upper middle class at that point. And nobody wants to do it because it actually takes work.
It's going to happen though.
I think it is. I think
that's what all the influencers are predicting. The Gary Vaynerchuks, all the people are saying that's what's going to happen. YouTube influencers are going to say, dude, just go to a trade school.
Yeah.
Become a plumber.
That's it. I think colleges are great. Obviously, I'm sending my daughter off to college. I think trade schools are great. I think they're all great options. What I don't think is great is sitting back saying there's nothing you could do. And it's a shame because I think if more people knew how hard it was to run a business and start a business, they would really opt in for becoming a plumber or an AC tech. And yeah, you have a grueling day, but you get to come home at the end of the day and you get a guaranteed check. You know what I mean? You're making your 6 figures, and like you get your weekends if you're not on call, like, cause I'm sure they swap on calls. I'm sure it's kind of like other industries, but like you get your set days off, and like you got a guaranteed. I know a lot of business owners that don't clear that much money, and they work 100-hour weeks all in the hopes that one day they'll be driving the Lambo, and most of them never do.
I mean, in my head, what I'm thinking is like people like me need to find somebody who's like, I'm a great plumber, a great AC person. I do not want to focus on the business. And like, that's a ripe opportunity for the taking, is going in and like partnering with these people who who are good at that, but just like the marketing, the operations, the systems, the growth, the scaling,
that's the whole
like,
strategy.
I'm not gonna, yeah.
So that's the.
And I'm also like,
it.
does my son want to get into AC, and I'll run the rest of the business?
Well, you let me know,
That'd
John.
be cool.
If you want to just side business here, you know, you want to start a fund, we'll go start a fund and we'll start buying it. That's what they do, right? These funds, they're experts in that. Like, and I think we talked about it last week, the Twitter people, and like, that's what they do. They're like, all I did was come in, I took 50% of this company, gave them some cash, and I've like, whatever, doubled the revenue. I implemented my marketing, my sales process, my CRM, and like, that's all they did. And they basically got a free company because they pay X amount for half, and then they double the revenue, and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We have a friend that almost purchased an appliance repair business.
Oh,
they backed out because they were payrolling their employees wrong. So like, to take it over would have been a massive like tax legal problem. But overall, like, same thing, right? Like, just looked at all the expenses, looked at how they're paying, look at how they're generating leads, and it's just so much opportunity to just inject new things, new knowledge, stuff that like we all are good at, and like, you could have easily doubled the business in no time.
Yeah, a lot of it does come down to like labor, though. You know, like, people have a problem with finding good people, but I don't imagine it paying $60 an hour. I mean, maybe you will. I guess there's problems at all price levels, but I don't know.
All right, let's get into some quick pulsey stuff here. This is interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard this. This was yesterday. So
talking about marketing and SEO and all that stuff, this could
very intriguing here. It's came out rumored that OpenAI on Monday is going to announce a Google search competitor, which is funny because like people do already treat OpenAI like Google search. So what can it get better at? I mean, there's two interesting pieces there to me.
Really quick, John, before you dive into that, we got our Investor Fuse got its first lead from ChatGPT. Someone searching on ChatGPT this week.
Oh, that's right. You did. Yes. We got our first lead. They searched something, and we popped up in the result for ChatGPT.
Something best CRM for wholesalers, and it came up.
There we go. I love it. So two concerning things there. First is ChatGPT, the current models are not up to date. So how can you introduce a search that doesn't have up-to-date models? Because you need up-to-date search results, right? And the second thing is, what is it? This is a leading question for you guys, that Google search powers a lot of? No. Ads. PPC, PPL, we were just talking about it. I don't necessarily see the 70-year-old person using ChatGPT, but to me, this is like, seems to be a massive revenue play. They want to put ads into search results somehow from ChatGPT. So I'm intrigued to see how that kind of plays out. Like, why would they not want to compete with? I mean, that is one of the biggest revenue drivers for Google.
What's the best CRM for wholesaling, and Investor Fuse pays to be for that ad, and so then they lie?
Yeah, like, it kind of defeats the point.
That's the intriguing thing. Yeah, I don't,
because it's very prompt based, right? So like, one thing about Google Search or Ask Jeeves is you could never really ask it a question, right? You just type something in and it returned back web results. But ChatGPT, you actually ask a question. So how do you put an ad in there without it?
Well, that's the thing.
I guess that's what they're going to solve. That's the problem they'll solve.
Right, because like, people currently use ChatGPT as a Google search, essentially. So whatever they're going to release is going to be a completely new thing. It's probably not going to be limited to just one response. And then the same thing with Google search, right? When you go to Google search, you've got the sponsored things in there. They know they're going off keywords. It may not necessarily be the best result for what you're looking for, but that person paid to be there. Why could you
Yeah, I
not do
get
the
it.
same thing for
Like it'll
ChatGPT?
have before it pops up, it'll say sponsored, and then for that
Yeah,
category, and then it'll go into answering the question. It'd be funny. It'd be like your CRM, and it's like, what's the top 10 CRMs, and like list them, and then the sponsored is like ABC CRM, but like that's not
Yeah.
even on the top 10.
not
And
on
you're
the
like,
list. Yeah.
And then, like, I feel like
Oh.
all the people, a majority of the people are going to be savvy enough to know that.
Yeah,
You know what
as
I mean?
they are
Eventually,
now,
people are
right?
going to be
Like
like, okay,
I
so you're
skip all the sponsored.
then there's a negative effect to paying. You're spending top tier marketing costs, and people are like, okay, this person's just paying to be here.
There is an algorithm into Google Ads, and so like if you go deep onto to making your Google Ads work, they will watch what happens when people clicks on your ad, and if people go to your homepage and then bounce off, and so ultimately don't hit that conversion tactic, what they say is that the Google Ads will say you are not providing the accurate result that the users are looking for the search that you showed up for, so therefore we will not show you as often because you are not providing. And so Google's still looking. It's not just like pay for it and then it's up there forever. You just keep paying. I guess you could keep paying, but they will show your ad and in more places in better positions if you give the user what they're looking for in the search results. They still want to preserve the environment for the user to go and get accurate results. So there's some technicality there.
Yeah,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Let's see if it comes up Monday.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at that. So there's another thing that other ChatGPT. Have you guys seen? I've seen an increase, and I haven't looked into the validity of this. I believe it's valid, but they're saying like how much power ChatGPT uses, and like the grid is not ready for the
Oh shit!
amount
You know what
of
else they said
usage.
that? You want to know what else they said that about?
Batteries in
No,
electric cars.
Y2K.
no. This is like a. It's all conspiracy, but they said the same thing about Bitcoin. The mining, and they're like,
That's
"Oh,
right.
it's gonna
That's
crash the
right.
grid." We don't see a conspiracy. I saw a funny meme where it was like a guy rolling up to a shady place, and he was like, "I'm going to see my conspiracy dealer," and it's just a dude smoking a joint with a tinfoil hat, just like spouting off conspiracies. And I was like, "Bro, that's me. That's me." Anytime I talk to somebody, I'm like, "No, dude, that's not what's really happening. Let me tell you what's going on." And it's like, but yeah, think about it. Like, okay, all of a sudden ChatGPT is about to take over Google, and like Microsoft and Gates and like all this stuff is there. And Google's like, no, guys, we
We
need to
gotta
say that
start a
it's
rumor that it's
yeah,
bad for the planet. You're
is
gonna
that
not
not
have air conditioning at your house if you use ChatGPT.
yeah, like is that not like if you were one of them, like that's not something you would try to do to stave off a competitor? I know I would. Like if I had that power of pool, like, bro, I'm like,
That's
hey
literally
man,
what
Mr.
the thing I said.
Senator,
It uses 17 times more power than a Google search did. That's literally what they said in this like
how
newsy kind of
convenient. Who wonder
right.
it's like I have a buddy who pays for like publicity. So like he'll send me a magazine article and my response will be like, how much did you pay for that? Not like, and that's when I get the vibes of this is like one of those. And I did one once when I was starting my one company with my partner. He was all about it. He's like, let's pay to get an article in this thing. And like you had a ghostwriter, you got on a call, you talked your company up and yourself, and then the lady writes it up. Next thing you know, it's in it, but nobody knows that you paid for it. And I feel like Google did that. They called somebody and like, hey, how much can I pay you to say this? Yeah.
We've got we've got one researcher who said this. 90 of them said the opposite, but one guy said it. So can you just talk about that? How much can we pay you for that?
Well, that's what was it where like, oh, there was some study done, but it was paid for by the company that was doing bad. They paid for a study to make them look good. I'm trying to think of what it was, but it's like
This sounds
how
familiar, but yeah.
convenient that is. You found the one company, the one stat company that could be bought and paid for.
How long has Google had the AI at the top now?
Where that's like, been brand new. I saw that the last couple of weeks.
I thought they had to take it down because something went wrong with it for a while, and then
I saw
maybe
it today.
It's back up.
Yeah. I've noticed the last week or so. Pull up a browser here, take a look see.
I'm not, I use ChatGPT. I'm good. I just,
I went onto Instagram and I was trying to find something for Shannon. Like I saw something, and so I needed to search a specific term. I go into the search, and every single time I searched, it pulled up the Meta AI, and it was like having dumb conversations with me. And I'm like, no, just freaking show me reels that match this freaking
you need
name.
to use TikTok for that, bro. TikTok search is phenomenal. Like when you
Agreed.
want to like and that's what they say is like TikTok's main ticket, like its main pitch is like its search algorithms where I don't know, my daughter's generation, whatever generation that is, right? Like Gen Z, is it Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen Z? I don't know. The younger generation, the youngins, they're
Just
over
use
there.
TikTok
Yeah,
search. I don't even go to
the
Google.
youths. Yeah, the youths. The they're over there just using TikTok search. Like my daughter, when I asked her something, she just pulled up TikTok and she's just like, I'm like, what are you doing? Go to Google. She goes, no, this is what you do. And I'm like, oh, all right. She's like, all right, boomer. I'm like, what?
But like, if you
Um,
search like I need a plumber in Orlando, does TikTok? I mean, is that like
yeah, I've never
something
done
that
that.
these kind of businesses should be looking into? Is I don't know,
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I don't know. I've done it. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, we don't have enough time for this.
Yeah, we might have to skip that.
All right, so guys, next week we will be having Andy on talking more PPL, more things about generating leads, and then tune in the week after and we'll talk about this news flash.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this wholeheartedly.
I do too.
Ah,
But there are 99 comments on this thread. I haven't looked at any of them, so it would be a fun thing to kind of dig into
yeah,
on an episode.
it is.
But
There's
I'll stop sharing that one.
some stuff over there. Um. Anyway, no, this was good. I'll be going to the park. I will say this. I got more and more park opportunities coming to me. Not that whether they work out or not, that's beside the point because I've been looking at more and more. So I keep a file folder on my computer, like a file drive on my computer of like deals that I look at, right? So since I started looking for parks at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, whenever that was, there'd be like one or two folders in there. And then like, I bought my first one. And then 2023, I had like, maybe close to a dozen, not many. And now, dude, like I'm
So
scrolling
these are perks you're doing math
that
on,
I
like
that I actually have like requested documents. I'm running
yeah.
that potentially making offers. Like I'm vetting them to see if they fit what I need to do. And like here, I forget the count. It was like over 20 some already, and like I'm not even halfway through the year. And it's just
That's
like,
pretty
and
cool.
then I got a call from somebody yesterday, a pretty big broker. It was pretty awesome in the business, and he calls me 2 days ago, and he was like, "Hey, I saw you looked at this and requested documents. We chit chatted for a while, and then that deal wasn't good for me." And then about 20 minutes later, I get a call from another guy with this phenomenal deal. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I was just talking to so and so. He said he talked to you and that you're the guy who bought that park up in Cordell. He's like, well, I got this one. Would this interest you? And I was like, bro, would that interest me? Like,
Is this something I might be intrigued in?
is that you shit me right now, bro? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, be cool, be cool, be cool. Act
Right.
like you've been
They
here
can tell, like we
before.
were talking about in the sales, like you can kind
Just
of
be
feel it.
cool, bro. I'll be like, well, like I'll
Got
look
a few
at
other ones in
it.
the pipeline. Like
Yeah, like yeah. But that's true too. Is you have the more in your pipeline that you have, the less desperate you seem. But dude, so anyway, I just thought it was funny how like I've noticed that the more I'm looking at, the more I'm offering on, the more connections I make, then the more opportunities that come to me, and it's just like it's just sheer volume of numbers that you have to do, and it's just going to take me more years to build it up to where it's like a consistent pipeline. It's literally starting from scratch, but I thought that was pretty cool when I was scrolling through trying to find one of my folders for this park. I need to like pull something. I'm like, damn, I got like a lot in here. I didn't know I looked at that many in
Yeah,
only
keep
fucking
scrolling.
5 months. Yeah, in only 5 months. But
Oh, that's funny.
so yeah, we'll see.
All right,
We'll see how
gents.
these things come. This is good,
Lovely
guys.
week
Lock
with
and
you as
load.
well. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. It's supposed to get cooler in Florida the next couple of days, so
is it?
But Shannon told me yesterday was supposed to be the hottest day, and then it's going to cool down a little bit. But April's always weird because it's always dry hot. Like we're not getting the thunderstorms
It's
coming
May.
through yet,
Yeah.
cooling us down. May, whatever, April, May, that time of year.
August 2023,
guys.
man. Ever since then, just hasn't been right.
It's just like